Good morning, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really pleased and honored to be among you today. Those who know me, and I see many familiar faces, know that I have quite strong links with Earth observation and space in general. And so I'm really very pleased to be able to contribute in this discussion today. I would like to thank Emmanuel and the ERSC team for the continuous collaboration, including with the Commissioner, and all the inputs that you provide. I'm a convinced European that we can only make progress by working all of us together. Today, as Emmanuel just explained, you have many sessions where you will go through many different facets of Earth observation. So today, intentionally, I will focus particularly on the link between space and defense in the context of the portfolio of Commissioner Andrius Kubilius. This does not mean that the other facets that are also part of this EXPANDEO conference are not important, and we could speak for hours. I mean, just this week, the Ocean Summit is unfolding and so on, just to mention one example. However, we should also acknowledge that the link between space and defense at European level is indeed a new frontier. We have made a lot of initiatives in the past, but now we are at a turning point in Europe, and so it deserves some special attention. So what I would like to focus on a little bit the messages of Commissioner Kubilius in the context of his portfolio, his vision about space, the broader geopolitical context as announced by him and the President von der Leyen, and then some more specific aspects regarding space, taking a more broad approach, not specific to Earth observation. We will have the opportunity in the next panel with my colleague Mauro to speak about the future of Earth observation in Europe in general. So first of all, you may have heard that the Commissioner Kubilius very frequently mentions that the 21st century will be the century of space. This does not mean we have not made enormous progress so far. Europe is a leading space power, and we have important spacefaring nations among the member states, but he sees that we are going towards what he calls a big bang for space, or a revolution that will be as fluid in our everyday lives as the internet today and connectivity. This, in turn, as many market projections show, will bring an exponential growth to the global space economy, irrespective of which market studies, and I know there are many conflicting opinions about the actual figures. However, I think we all agree that the growth is exponential, and by space economy, of course, we mean not only solutions from space for the other sectors of the economy, we mean the space sector in itself, we mean manufacturing, services. It is about jobs and growth, and this competitiveness angle of space is extremely important and high on the agenda, and that's why space has been mentioned as one of the growth sectors in the Letta and Draghi reports, and then reported in the competitiveness compass adopted by the college earlier on this year. Of course, space is benefits on Earth, but it's also about more and more the broader space race, going to the orbital, cislunar economies. This may sound a bit far-reaching for the moment. However, if we think that this year we are shaping decisions for space until 2035 or even 2040, these are elements that need to be taken into account. The digital is transforming space as well, from manufacturing to services, to the fast reactivity that we see. It's transforming also models, business models, manufacturing models, and so on. So let me go back to the broader geopolitical context for Europe. This is I would like to quote Commissioner Kubilius from the Defense and Security Summit just yesterday, and also President von der Leyen. So Europe is at a turning point. Why? Because despite the fact that we are not at war, it's as if we were at war. There is an aggression on the European continent, an ongoing aggression that has made us think differently, and we can see it in everyday news. We need to get urgently into shape. Although individually we have many capabilities in defense, globally Europe needs to defragment itself, needs to reform itself, and see how we can put us back into shape. President von der Leyen, a couple of weeks ago in Aachen, when receiving the Charlemagne Prize, she mentioned that we need to go towards a Pax Europea, so European peace and an independent Europe. And the broader language is that peace can only come through strength. This means that we need to deter future aggressions and therefore equip and reform ourselves. And this includes also space capabilities. In other words, we go more towards a defense readiness, and this includes space in the context of space and defense. Just to finish this broader geopolitical context and just to quote discussions from the summit yesterday, and I promise this is my last more negative note, let's say, in this intervention, there is reference to the perfect storm. The perfect storm meaning we have an ongoing aggression, we have a war economy from the aggressor, intelligence services bring alarming messages towards heads of state and also at European level. We have American withdrawal from Europe, a shift towards the Indo-Pacific. And so we need to assume our responsibilities. And this was the essence of the Defense White Paper and all the different instruments that have been under discussion in defense, including SAFE, the SAFE tool, which was recently adopted by the Council and which allows also to develop capabilities under this MFF also for space. So, in this context, and focusing especially on the link between space, defense, and security, we need to realign our priorities for space. As already mentioned by Manuel, the focus is on geointelligence data, and this is extremely important for this constituency, secure communications and connectivity, high-precision navigation and positioning and timing, PNT services. Today, of course, Europe has capabilities at national level, including military capabilities, or even at European level. I mean, we have been working towards dual-use systems, especially with Galileo. Under Copernicus, we have, although it is a civil program under civil control, we have security services, emergency support services. We take a broad approach to security, of course, from civil security up to defense. And this is a new narrative in Europe. I mean, in the past, we were not as vocal on these points. We are aware also, so we have national capabilities, we also have important commercial capabilities, and some of you here in this constituency and online are providing such data and information today. However, we are convinced that if we want to talk about European defense readiness and civil security readiness, next to or in partnership with commercial providers, in partnership with national capabilities, we need to augment our capacity, and we need to do this fast, which means that we need to go towards reinforcing such capacities or building new European capacities, and we need to have new interoperable capacities. I mean, the time of the past where we had sovereign independent systems that only spoke to each other through administrative means is not anymore, it's changing, it's transforming quite fast. The technology is far more advanced now. It allows us to go towards interoperable systems so that we can have the coexistence of national, private, or European that can either speak to each other or can introduce sovereignty requirements and have the necessary protections and security conditions in place. So we think that such developments need to occur. And that's why there is a lot of discussion, of course, both for secure connectivity through IRI², starting with GovSatcom already this year, pooling and sharing secure satellite communications. There is also talk about strengthening Galileo through a new low Earth orbit positioning, navigation, and timing, LEO PNT capacity. And especially relevant for this, for here, is the Earth Observation Governmental Service as a new system that is based on the main principles that I have just referred to before. Equally important, of course, as the Commissioner says, is not only space for defense and security, but also the defense of space. So as we go more and more towards dual-use systems, we think we need to think more about protecting them, and protecting them starts with space surveillance and awareness, with radio frequency interference monitoring, which could mean auxiliary payloads, more auxiliary payloads in new systems, and so on. We don't know yet. I mean, we are still studying different solutions. Another important element in these developments is that we need to act fast. And act fast means act now. I mean, it's no coincidence that the Commission came with proposals about defense readiness, including funding proposals already this year. We can no longer afford to wait 10 years to have the next perfect space system. We need to think and transform the way we do business, and we know that in Earth observation we are so advanced that we can do this, and we know that there are solutions about it, and you know this much better than me. So this is about the vision, especially between space defense and security. More broadly, about the competitiveness angle, as I said, the whole discussion about defense and security is about reducing dependencies and increasing our sovereignty and our ability to act irrespective of any other positions. But this means that we need to be competitive, and we are competitive, but we need to maintain this. We know this is not obvious in a highly technological domain. We need to attract the best talents. We need to maintain our capacities, and we need to work together, especially. We should not be fragmented. And we know that although all have very good intentions, we know that there are many practical difficulties, but we are very, very convinced. I mean, this college is very convinced on this importance of cooperation. Space can bring solutions, and especially Earth observation can bring solutions to many sectors of the economy. Emmanuel, and you know very well everything. I think what I would like to highlight is that this college has started with the first 100 Days initiative, and as we go on with a systematic reference to space. You mentioned the Clean New Industrial Deal, but the same goes to the Preparedness Union and Internal Security Strategies that call for a Earth observation governmental service by 2027, and we have to see how this can be materialized. What first steps and initial services we can have, the water resilience strategy, and so on. So there are continuous references to space. At the same time, going now more on to process, so what is coming up this year from this college dedicated on space. We are going towards a space package by the end of this month, which will be followed by the proposals for the next MFF in July. So there will be some quite intensive institutional delivery, let's say, which will trigger then all the political discussions, interinstitutional discussions with Council and Parliament, but also with you in the 2 years to come in order to shape future decisions. So we plan a communication dedicated on a strategy for the European space economy, looking at space, as I said, with a very broad perspective, so space on Earth, but also the orbital dimension of space, the orbital economy dimension, looking at the space sector in terms of manufacturing and services, but also to the non-space sectors, which also have manufacturing and services components, I think in particular of user terminals and interoperability standards that we need to have with other sectors of the economy, which are very important. We also look at space as in this communication as a market sector per se, so we have to take a holistic approach from research and innovation up to sovereignty aspects, up to commercialization aspects, and what measures can be taken from the EU side to support this. Another message from this communication will be linked to the importance of expanding, maintaining, evolving our existing systems, in particular Copernicus, when it comes to Earth observation, but also adding new systems, in particular the Earth Observation Governmental Service, which has already been mentioned in the past communications already, starting with a communication on the space strategy for security and defense. The space communication will be accompanied by the proposal for the EU Space Act. This proposal for EU Space Act is a first step towards going towards a space traffic management approach, setting a standard within Europe and also ultimately working towards interoperability and mutual recognition worldwide. We will look specifically at safety, resilience, and sustainability of space operations. Aspects such as anti-collision avoidance, risk management, responsible use of space more broadly, green manufacturing, and so on. However, at the same time, we don't want to introduce additional burden. We want to comply with existing legislation. So whenever feasible, in particular in the environmental field or even in the resilience field, we will comply with existing processes at European level. A few words about the next MFF. So there are still quite a few unknowns. I cannot today commit on anything. As you can imagine, this is probably one of the most sensitive topics of discussion. However, we are, of course, committed into continuing expanding the funding for space. We are looking also on how we can complement between European and national levels. Currently, under Next Generation EU, we had fantastic examples of combining shared management in member states to build Earth observation, mini Earth observation, or more important, Earth observation constellations. So we'd like to see this continue. We are discussing, of course, with our colleagues from ESA in order to align funding with the upcoming ministerial, where feasible and where relevant. So it's quite an intensive process. But most importantly, I think, and here I would like to conclude, is that, of course, we're going quite fast right now, and this is the pace of this college. At the same time, we will have the next 2 years to continue fine-tuning, so it's not the end of the story. We will be able to discuss and concretely take all necessary inputs from the stakeholders, and certainly through ERSC, we are in continuous contact at different levels, and we will continue doing so. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be here with you today.